In this tutorial, I'll show you how to model and render this grid road image. Let's create a grid with 50 subdivisions. Tab to go to edit mode. C to circle select. Mouse wheel, down, or up, to change the cursor size. Alt-A to deselect everything. Click and draw to select the vertices like this. I clicked and dragged, but the vertices were not selected. I think this is a bug. Please don't select the vertices in the orthographic mode. I'll try again in the top orthographic mode. Ctrl-I to invert the selection. Ctrl-G to add them to a new vertex group. There are two ways to make Blender remember a customized selection like this. Vertex groups are one, and the material selection is another. We can assign two separate materials to the selections and select them later by selecting the material. But the material selection method can't be used for the modifiers and the particles later, so I prefer using the vertex groups instead. Let's randomize this selection. Please remember that if we click away from the selection, we won't be able to control the randomize values again. Meaning if we want to lower or increase the randomize values after deselecting them, we won't be able to do it. Please make the needed changes right after randomizing the vertices, the edges, or the faces. In vertex selection mode, let's randomly click the vertices like this, and use the proportional editing to bring them up like this. G and Z to move the selected vertices on the Z axis. Let's make some changes by deselecting some of the vertices and bringing the rest down. Shift-click to deselect them. I'll show you how to select the vertex-grouped vertices. Let's go to the vertex group. This is how we select and deselect the grouped vertices. Ctrl-I to invert the selection. Let's apply the brighter material to the newly created faces from the randomized changes. Shift-D to duplicate, and Enter to settle. Let's create a wireframe grid illusion. We need to add the wireframe modifier. The thickness of 0.001 is only good with regular material nodes. We won't be able to see the glow if we use the emission node. I'll demonstrate that later by using Eevee with the bloom setting. Please remember to click the number buttons to make the wireframe's materials unique. Let's use the emission shader for the wireframe mesh. I'll switch the render engine to Eevee and activate the bloom setting. Because our wireframe modifier's thickness values are so low, we won't be able to see the glow. We'll be able to see the glow once we increase the value. Do you remember how the road had a brighter material? We'll lose that if we have an overlaying emission above the original mesh. One more thing to watch out for is how the end result would look different from what we see on the preview. Especially when our render preview samples are set to 1 to prevent the lag issue while previewing cycles renders on the viewport. Let's see what will happen when we greatly increase the emission values. That looks good, but that illusion only exists in our viewport. Let's add the color ramp and the gradient texture nodes as usual. Select the Gradient Texture node, and press Ctrl+T to add more nodes. We need the Node Wrangler add-on to use that shortcut. They look good, don't they? Let's see what will happen if we render the scene after adjusting some node settings. I'll turn off Use Nodes and press F12 to render. Ouch! What is this? This is the scene we wanted, right? Let's activate the composite nodes containing the glare and try again. That's even worse. Then what if we render the viewport? This issue occurred because my viewport sample was set to 1 to avoid the lag issue while previewing the cycle's render scene. But still, the viewport render preview and the end result don't look the same. One way to fix the issue would be lowering the emission values. And turning off the Use Node setting that contains the glare node under compositing. That looks better. I'll change the color arrangement a bit and render the scene again. By the way, if you wanted to save that cool-looking image we briefly had, press Ctrl and Space together to see it in full screen, and use the print screen key on the keyboard to manually capture the image on the scene. After that, create a new document in imaging editing software like Photoshop and paste the screen cap image there. This is the screen capture result while my viewport render preview was set to 1, and the emission was set to 350. I would select and crop the image, and put the resolution to 1920 by 1080 to create this image. That's how we capture the limited render preview screen cap and edit it to capture something that can't be rendered. Let's go back to the project we were working on, and render this scene properly only by using Blender. This is the end of the tutorial. Thank you for watching.